So again, thank you for being here. The second part of today's presentation is with Jeanne Demers. Jeanne is a tapping into wealth coach. So what Jeanne does is she helps people who want to get to the next level. She helps them to look for, find, and then clear whatever's in the way of them doing that. And she does it by tapping into their subconscious, because of course that is where what stops us lies. So she uses the modality of EFT tapping, thus the tapping into wealth coach. I can say from experience that this is a powerful, effective tool, especially in the hands of someone like Jeanne. And so with that, I would like to just turn our attention over to Jeanne Demers.
Thank you, Lisa. So an introduction and a testimonial. Thank you. And I want to say again, thank you, Judy, for setting me up nicely for giving a presentation. I'm so much more here instead of here.
Good.
Yeah. So I'm a tapping into wealth coach. And actually I want to start with, has anyone heard that phrase or the term taking a stand? It's actually jargon that's used in like people saying like, I take a stand for in my business. And the way to answer or come up with what it is that you take a stand for is asking yourself, what is it that really pisses me off? And what is it that breaks my heart? And in thinking about it, for me, it's like what really pisses me off is not having enough money to do things that I really want to do. That truly pisses me off. And what breaks my heart is seeing other people have that experience in their life. So it's actually, so when I think about it, what is it that I take a stand for? It's against survival mode, and it's for leading the way into the opposite of that, which is thriving. So with that, I found, because I needed to do this work for myself, I am historically a chronic under-earner. And it comes from the fact that I grew up in survival mode. My family of origin, that's just the way things were. And so those were the messages that I got about how life is, how things are for people like us, you know, like rich Cheryl Rainforth, whose father is a doctor, can have the nice clothes, but I can't. And that's what I continued to live in my adult life. And super painful. I mean, like the work, you know, like feeling like you can work your way out of it. So striving, a lot of striving, but over and over again, never arriving. Or sometimes I would be able to arrive. I would get to the next level, but we have what's called an inner set point. And so and it's just like where you're going to go unless you change it. So go above it, yes, but then come back to it. I couldn't maintain that higher level. So boom, bust was the other thing that I suffered with. And the thing that I came across to help it is emotional freedom technique, which I knew about, but it wasn't until I applied it very specifically to money that I became evangelical about the modality and applying it to money in a very focused, specific way. So what I'm hoping, what my goal is for today is that you will leave here after the exercise that I'm going to take you through with some real aha moments and some genuinely transformational moments. And maybe you'll feel like, wow, this is like really interesting stuff. And you'll be curious about what it is to take the work further, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. And I'll let you know at the end how you can reach out to me to do that. What else? What tapping is. How many of you know what tapping is? Show of hands. All right, we've got mostly everybody. Well, sort of Beth. And yeah, and it bears an explanation. So what it is also known as EFT, emotional freedom techniques. And it's also called tapping because you literally use your fingertips to tap on certain points on your body. And the points that you tap on are meridian end points. So they're powerful points. They're what's used in acupuncture and acupressure. And the deal is that by lightly tapping on these points, you bring down the stress response. And so if while you're tapping on these points, you tune into something troubling, it's almost like it's very counterintuitive. You're going to focus on what's wrong, what's not working, limiting beliefs, a painful memory, challenging emotions. You're going to tune into them while tapping on the points. Why? So that you can like bring that up in your system, and the tapping then soothes the system. So it serves to rewire the brain. You call it up in your system, and with the tapping, you bring it down, and it changes your relationship to that self-talk, that emotion, that memory, whatever it is that you're focusing on. So yeah, it rewires the brain. And it also is like really powerful in that it does two important things. It accesses the subconscious, and that's where limiting beliefs live. But it also, that's on like the mind side of things. On the body side of things, it physically releases emotional blocks because those are in the nervous system. Tapping is a mind-body tool, and money, as it turns out, is a mind-body issue. And you're going to have the experience of that in the exercise. So I'm going to switch over to the screen share. But while I'm doing that, if you haven't got pen and paper, do get it because you'll be jotting things down. All right, share screen. And ahead of myself. Okay, there we go. And present. Loading. All right, here we are. Okay, so moving right along. Oh, I didn't teach you how to tap though. Oh my God, hang on, I'm gonna stop sharing. I knew it went too fast. I'm back. Okay, so tapping, the points. And I'll whip through them quickly, but then I'll go through them with you slowly so that you can do it along with me. So inside of the eye, right at the edge, and you can do it along with me now, but we'll do it a second round, right on the inside of the eyebrow point, and also like right at the rim of the eye socket. So right where the bone drops off. And then you go to the outside of your eye, at the other end of your eyebrow, and it's right on the rim of the eye socket again, outside of the eye. And then underneath your eye, rim of the eye socket again. And then under the nose, above the lip, cleft of the chin. And it's just lightly, like 5 or 7 times you tap on a point. Collarbone, it's not the collarbone itself. So like find your clavicle, but then below that in that soft area. Oh my God, I get like a nice breath every time I tap there. Under the arm, bra line for women. Men, imagine, bra line. And then we go wrists together like your Isis. And then karate chop points together. Karate chop point is a really important point. I'm not going to go into it, but just know it's a really important point. And then you finish up with all over the crown of your head. And that is what that's what a round of tapping consists of. So let's do it again quickly. Inside of eye, outside of eye, under the eye, under the nose, cleft of chin, collarbone, but it's that area, soft area below the collarbone, under the arm at bra line, wrists together, karate chop point together, all over the crown of the head. And just notice how you feel from a couple of rounds of tapping. If anything just is a little bit more settled or whatever it did for you. Does anybody have any questions? Because now would be the time to ask them, because I'm going to take you through tapping. And if you have any questions about it, good to ask them now. No? Okay. All right, back to screen share. Okay, we're here. Okay, so.
Excuse me, Jeannie, I hate to interrupt. I just saw Beth turned her mic off. Beth, did that mean that you were trying to ask a question and we didn't catch up with you?
Oh, just, does it matter which side, Jeannie? Is it your dominant hand side that you do the tapping?
Oh, good question. It does not matter which side. And you can do, I've seen people do both sides at the same time, or just one side, or go switch back and forth from side to side. Tapping is like this incredibly forgiving modality. You cannot do it wrong, but you can do it more right by getting the actual points right. That's the most important thing. But if you skip one or skip something entirely every time, it's fine. You go through all of the points, because that way you're sure to address wherever the blockage is in your system. Okay, so you've got the pen and the paper. So the first question is, why am I not advancing? Oh, here we go. Okay, so who wants to make more money? If that is you, yes. And when I say more money, I mean make more money so that you are able to live in a way that you choose to live, in a way that is able to, you're able to invest, you're able to enjoy, you're able to save. You do not have to settle living paycheck to paycheck. So if that is you, you are going to write next step income goal on your piece of paper. Now, the second question is going to require some math. It's fun math. You're going to come up with a number that would mean that you did not have to worry about meeting all of your monthly expenses, all of your bills. So whatever that monthly nut is, get that down and multiply by 12. So you've got that number for the year. But then in addition to that, you could have everything on your wish list. You know, what is it that you would really love to have additionally in your life right now? Give it it's a line item and what it would cost roughly. And we're doing this in the little fast and furious. So just like come up with things off the top of your head and guesstimate how much they would cost. You know, I wanted a trampoline. I would love a package of body work from somebody once COVID is over. I would love a virtual assistant. Those kinds of things. What do they cost? And then, and a vacation. Everybody gets a vacation. So that's a line item. And how much would the vacation cost? I'll give you a bit more time for this. Does everybody have it more or less, or have a number that represents what that next step income goal is? And also important to mention is that it's not based on what you think you can earn. It's the next step up in enjoying your life. So don't let like, oh, no, I couldn't afford that. stop you from putting it and adding it up. Okay, so the optimist in you, we want to dismiss her or him, because who we're interested in hearing from is your inner skeptic. So we want to know what the inner skeptic thinks and feels. So the question, what you're going to do in order to give the inner skeptic voice is look at that next step income goal, that number that's there, and say aloud, it's impossible. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
And how true does that feel, 0 to 10? Now we're testing how true the statement is, not how possible it is, how true it's impossible feels. So if it's impossible feels 100% true, then that's a 10. But if it's impossible doesn't feel true at all, then it's a 0. It's like, no, I could make this money all day long, not hard at all. So 0 to 10, how true? And as per the focusing work, sensing in to what are the emotions that get triggered when you say it's impossible, looking at this next step income goal. It's impossible is a limiting belief, right? Because people can and do make the amount of money that you wrote down on your piece of paper. So it's impossible is a limiting belief. But when it feels true, that's really what is driving you. So, because why would you want to do something that feels impossible? So, what we're going to do next is take that next step income goal and double it times 2. And write that number down. And you're going to look at that number, take a breath, and say, how true does that feel on a scale of 0 to 10? 0 being, it doesn't feel impossible to me at all. And 10 being, oh yeah, that is impossible. And write that number down. And if anybody wants to share in the chats their number, feel free.
We do have some
What
shares.
their number is for the
We
next
do have
step.
some. We have an 8. We have a 5, and that was for the original. That was for
Oh, that was for the original. Okay. So then, yes. And the reason that we're doubling it is we're triggering
16.
ourselves. We want to hear what our, and feel what comes up in us when we feel it's impossible.
Yeah, 16
What's-
is the next one. So on a scale of 1 to
16.
10, it's 16. Yeah, that's
I
a good word
know,
there,
I
too.
know.
Yep.
So
Oh,
we've
is
got the
this in 1
number.
year?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is this in 1 year?
Right. It doesn't matter how long it is. It's just like, it's like that number feels impossible.
And it doubles.
So, feelings, what are the actual feelings that go along with it? What are the emotions that go along with it? And what do you hear yourself saying in relation to that number? And is it bright, sunshiny feelings, or is it rain on my parade, stormy, yucky feelings? And is the things that you're hearing yourself say about it positive, optimistic, can do, or is it more skeptical, doubtful, harsh kinds of things that you're hearing? So write down what the inner self-talk is, what you hear yourself saying about it. And then we're going to do another test phrase. Yeah. Fear, frustration, sad, mad, exactly. A new test phrase is going to be, I can do it. So write that down and say aloud, I can do it, looking at that number.
I can do it.
How true does that feel, 0 to 10? I can do it. Of course I can do it, or no way in heck I can do it.
The first
And
number or the doubled number?
we're working with the doubled number. Yeah. I can do it. And what do you hear yourself saying in relation to I can do it? What are the emotions? What do you hear yourself saying? And also with the emotions, it can be physical. It's like, what do you feel where in your body? That's the kind of thing to sense into as well. Mm.
Do you see the responses, Jeanne?
How, maybe, with miracles. Yeah. All right, the next test phrase is, I deserve it. So write down, I deserve it. And how true, 0 to 10. Sometimes really positive stuff comes up around, I deserve it, at least consciously. So it's not always negative stuff that is going to come up in response to the test phrases. So how true, 0 to 10, what's the emotion that gets triggered? And what do you hear yourself saying? What's the inner self-talk? Get it all down. And the final test phrase is, it will probably be really hard. So write down, it'll probably be really hard, and say it out loud. And sense into how true. It'll probably be really hard, which is a totally separate piece of belief, because it'll probably be really hard gets to how much you value yourself and your time. If you're not very valuable, then to double your income is going to mean that you'll have to double the amount of hours that it takes to earn it. So thoughts and feelings around, it'll probably be really hard. Okay. And just keep jotting things down as they come up, as we continue on. But what you have just done, and I'm actually going to suggest that we share at this point what it is that came up for us. Some people did it in the chat. Thank you. But we've really captured some specific beliefs and the emotions that go along with them. So if you want to unmute and share what came up for you, I'd love to hear it.
Wonder if I'll be overwhelmed. I think for that, is this going to be an easy path, or does this mean I'm going to have to work a lot to get to that place? And that feels overwhelming to me in a way.
And
Go ahead.
and the overwhelm is how strong, 0 to 10?
That's pretty strong. So like 9, yeah.
9.
Yeah.
9.
Just because that I've had that experience in my life. The times I made more money, I was working 60 hours a week. And so there's that sort of memory of, to make more money, you have to work a lot more.
Right. And
So,
actually, that's a really good thing that you brought up, because connected memories are another piece of it. There's the emotions, there's the self-talk, but then it's like, what also does it connect back to in your life? What is the memory that springs readily to mind?
You know what the memory is? The memory is that when I work like that, I lose myself. I lose myself in the work, and I don't do all my normal things that I do when I have time to sort of do self-care and be focused and be internal.
That's what to write down on the page. That's the limiting belief. It's like, to earn that amount of money, I will lose myself. I will not have time for all of the things that I love to do, etc. That's like really get that down as specifically as you're saying it aloud to me now. That's the stuff.
Jeannie, one comment was, how dare you? How would you respond or to that comment for a response?
brilliant limiting belief. And, it's like in terms of parts work, there's a part of you that is saying, how dare you want that much money? And right, I mean, it's like, and how strong is that 0 to 10, that feeling of how dare you?
I'll just say quickly, I mean, I have so much resistance. It's just ridiculous across the board. And some of the things that are coming up, it's like, just like, that I'll have to charge more, which I should be charging more, and I deserve to charge more, and I'll have to do more like online and more marketing, all these areas that I have so much resistance to. And yet,
yep.
Yeah. A lot of resistance.
Exactly. So that's what to get down on the page is the resistance. It's like resistance. I don't want to. Like, just give that full voice. I don't want to have to do all that marketing.
One of the responses, I think, hits pretty close to everybody. This feels like a challenge and more challenging as the points progress. Competition with anyone else comes naturally. Competition with myself. Whoa. Yeah. So as you go on, those feelings get deeper.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Lisa?
As the feelings go on, I mean, as you went on, the feelings get deeper.
Yes. Well, exactly. And we're triggering, like we did the doubled number for a reason. Like we really want access to what's in there. And if you set like an incremental income goal, you're not going to get as triggered around it. You're going to be able to hear the optimist in you say like, yeah, I'm going to do that. That's possible. I'll do it. But guess what? If you haven't, it means there's something faulty with that thinking. Otherwise you would. So anybody else want to share their experience of this?
I'm getting teary-eyed because I was trying not to lose it, but I just realized that there's like so crazy. There's like a voice in my head. I have something in my head that says other people are waiting for me to fail. God, it's so embarrassing.
No, it's so
other people are waiting for me to fail. I don't even know where that comes from. Sorry.
That's uncovering something huge in your subconscious that's a block. It's like, imagine if that weren't there, the feeling, the belief that somebody out there is just waiting for you to fail. Yes. And the veracity of that belief, how powerful is that 0 to 10?
I'm crying, so it's pretty high.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it was there, though. That's it's like catching me off guard.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. We're going to apply tapping to it. We're going to have an actual experience of tapping. But there's no clearing. You cannot heal what you cannot feel. So it's so good that you have gotten in touch with it, and there's no need to be embarrassed. But embarrassing is another thing to put down.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed about how I feel about my ability to earn.
Right.
I guess I'd just like to share that, I have faith that I can do it. I have faith that it will be very hard, but do I deserve it? That's a question that, boy, that's rough. I don't.
The deservingness part.
The deserving part. Yeah.
And so, like, to unpack it a little bit, it's like, what's the self-talk around deserve?
Well, so do I need it? No. And anything above need feels greedy. It feels wrong is what it feels. Do I want to give that to the people I love? Yes. Do I feel like they deserve it? Yes. But do I? No, I don't know.
Interesting.
Apparently, you're not alone. There's comments supporting that, and I hear Judy
Yeah,
saying that.
like so. Yeah, that was a tough question.
The deserving one. Yeah, and I'll tell you the piece around like having more than needed, that's survival mode. I mean, to have only enough to make ends meet, that's survival mode. Worrying about, if the mortgage is going to be able to be paid, that's survival mode. Having a little extra money, but not feeling comfortable spending it because what if an emergency happens? That's survival mode. And then the question is, do I deserve more than survival? And consciously, the answer might be, of course I do. But subconsciously, which is the driver, it's you've just tapped into it. It's saying, no, I don't feel like I deserve it. That doesn't feel true. I deserve it.
I keep thinking, who do you think you are? That voice is still there, and I thought it was gone, but it's still there.
It still has its little,
not as bad. It's not as
but it's not as bad. Yeah. Well, you hear it for what it is. It's like the Buddha wagging his finger it's like, I see you. I see you. So yeah, I mean, it's like, and we don't often do what we just did. We really, in writing this down, we saw and we captured not just what some of our limiting beliefs are, but also the emotional intensity of them as well. And if you look at everything that you have got on your piece of paper, like just look at it right now and ask yourself, is this an issue? Can I see how this is stopping me? Why would I take action on something that feels like this? Impossible. Not sure I deserve it. It'll be really hard. I'm not even sure I can do it. So we want to appreciate the clarity that we just gained from doing this exercise and ask hard questions. We ask hard questions because they bring clarity and motivation to something that really needs a lot of motivation. It's like you're not going to change something in yourself without motivation. So the hard question is, how long? How long has this been going on? And for me, it was decades. And the other question is, how much? How much do you think that this way of operating has cost you? Not just in terms of money, but in terms of relationships, in terms of being able to live your dream, in terms of your health. So not fun, I know. And if anybody wants to share around that, I'm happy to hear what you have in response to how much and how much it's cost you and how long it's been going on.
There are a couple of comments, Jeannie. One is that this is an entirely new perspective. It was based on what you were talking about before.
Good.
And then the self-question, do I deserve it for myself?
5 for yourself.
To help others, 10, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. No, isn't that interesting though, Ashley? Isn't it that it's like of course, other people deserve this, but I somehow am excluded from that.
Yeah, it taps into that. It's great to do wonderful things. It's not necessarily great to receive for doing them. I'm going to make a huge difference, but I don't need much. If I take,
say that last part again. I'm sorry.
If I take, then I'm being selfish. So it's better to give than to receive. That whole thinking that we tap into about.
Oh yeah.
It's really great to be giving, but it's terrible to be taking or receiving.
Got it. Yes, yes, yes. So write that one down. It's better to give than it is to receive. That's programming. That's like earliest money paradigm stuff. We get told things like that, and then we just take it as the undeniable truth of the way life is.
Could we call
Good
on
one.
Gail? She has her hand up too.
Oh, yes, please.
Hi. As I'm listening to you, one reaction that I have that I hadn't heard you talk about was that if I do this, I'll be hurt by someone. And the reason that came up is because actually it has happened as an adult. I'm not thinking about past things, although that's happened there too. Both in groups when I spoke up, I was very well liked in both groups, and we had wonderful conversations, but in both groups there was one person that didn't like me for some reason, and was verbally attacking, and the first one and then the second one both verbally and physically attacking. So I know that what I have to offer will come through verbally when whatever I do, writing or speaking. And so that has shut me down as an adult, really a lot. And there hasn't been anybody that I have spoken to that has any ideas about how to protect against that or why that would occur. I had one person, he was a monk and a psychologist and a spiritual, everything. And I told him, and he just said, well, that's a very common thing. But then I didn't find out why. But
what did he say?
That's very common.
Oh, that's very common.
Yeah.
No, not so helpful. What I would say about it is that it's a trauma. That's an unprocessed trauma. To be attacked is traumatic, and it's something that needs to be cleared, and because it's like it's still alive in your subconscious.
In the past 2 years.
I'm sorry, say that again.
It is now, because it just happened like a year ago, one of them, and a year before that it happened to somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry.
So that stops me in my adult life thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't shared these parts of me, these understandings. And as soon as I get both ends of the spectrum in response, the very bad and the very appreciative. So I don't know how one would overcome that, but anyway.
Right. It's like you have evidence that supports that if I do share my voice, if I do give what I have to give, something bad will happen.
Yeah.
And therefore it's blocking you.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if the tapping would deal with the trauma, the past trauma, and then try to figure out some strategy for going forward. And that seems like it might work.
That's bingo. That's exactly what it is. You clear, and then you're able to move forward, and moving forward brings up its own set of resistance. Like, oh my gosh, I'm outside of my comfort zone. Can I stay out here? And so then you just keep working with what comes up and tapping on it so that you can keep moving in the direction that you're intending to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
And Jeannie, do you see that self-reflection there? How long am I willing to stay stuck like this?
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, Jeanne Bean. That's my nickname too. I totally get it. It's like, yes, how long? And it's like, what if it's like, I could turn it around now. What if the right tool for the job is showing up in my life? Yeah. So with that, are you up for some tapping? Okay, I see Liz is very ready. So what we do is, not yet. I'm going to take off my glasses, but then I'm going to have to call this closer to me so I can see my script. And we're going to go right to the points, and you'll just tap through the points as you repeat after me. I'll say the phrase, and then you'll repeat the phrase. And when we move to the next phrase, you move to the next point. And we feel it. So when we say things like we're going to tap on, it's a negative round of tapping, it's impossible. And so pretend like you're an actor and you can really call up those feelings as fully as possible. We want to even exaggerate them, go over the top, because guess what? That voice in there is over the top, and we're just used to it and kind of dealing with it, but it's strong stuff. So repeating after me, it's impossible. No way. No how. It's crazy. It's just too much. This goal is too big. And now you're thinking about the original goal, the original undoubled number, but it's too big. It's impossible. It's way too much. It's too much for the universe to handle. No one has ever made this much money. Well, some people have, but not me. I forgot the other points. Not in a million years. Not in a million years. It's impossible. I know it's not going to happen. I'm telling you, there is no way this is going to happen. There is no way that this will ever come to pass. It's just not going to happen. And I have a pretty open mind. But I'm being honest with myself. And there's a part of me that is very clear. No way, no way, no way. The truth is, it's impossible for me. And even if it were possible, it would be ridiculously hard. It would be exhausting. It would require so much sacrifice. Yeah, it might look good on paper, but this goal would set me up to fail. I'd be so disappointed in myself. Again. And I don't want that. I have resistance to this goal. I have resistance to this exact number, to this exact amount of money. It feels hard and impossible. I know other people do make that amount of money. Sometimes very easily. But for me, impossible, impossible, impossible. Because I have no idea how to make it happen. So how could it possibly work? It's impossible. And that feels really bad, really depressing. So much pressure. This number with dollar signs in front of it is really triggering me. It's impossible. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. And take a breath. And just settle and notice what you feel where in your body. Eyes closed. And just notice the energy in your body, how it's moving. Thinking of any of the thoughts that came to mind while you were tapping. and looking at that original next step income goal again and saying out loud as you look at it, it's impossible. And rate again, 0 to 10, how true it feels now. If it went down, fabulous. Sometimes tapping on a negative round it dropped to a 3 from what was it before? Actually, if anybody wants to share what it went with. So from an 8 to a 3. Wow, Liz. That's huge. If it went down 1 point or 2 points, it's huge. From a 10 to a 5. Very good, very good. And this is you're giving voice to and letting it live in your system as you tap on it. So there's a lot of different things about this that anybody else who wants to share. Being 8 to a 5, fantastic. Anybody else who wants to share? Because we're going to do a positive round. I know we've got 10 minutes left, but we're doing great. This is really good work that you all are doing. One, you were really honest with coming up with the things that were really present for you when we did the test phrases. And two, you really gave yourself to the negative round of tapping. And laughing ridiculously. Oh, that's fantastic. It's free. That's blocks moving. That's stuck energy, not stuck anymore. Another thing that happens with tapping is yawning. And again, that's release. So if you find yourself yawning, great. Okay, onward to the positive round. So unless anybody has any questions before we do that. Okay, so here we go. We're going to begin tapping on the eyebrow point. And you've got that number in mind that is your next step income goal. And you're saying, oh, you already flipped my page. Hang on, sorry. Okay, there is my next step income goal. There it is. And it still feels somewhat impossible. It doesn't feel completely possible. Why should a number make me feel impossible? What is there about a number that feels impossible? Don't other people make that amount of money? What makes them different from me? Why shouldn't I be able to? What if I could open myself up to this next step income goal? What if I could do that? So let me try being open to it. And open to all of the ways things could unfold for me. Let me try honoring my inner skeptic. Yes, honoring that smart, analytical part of my mind. And all the ways that it supports me. But let me also honor that I want this goal. And this goal wants me. I'm open to feeling drawn and called to earning this much money. I am being called. Yes, it will require growth. Yes, it will be a journey. And yes, I must be open to whatever crazy synchronicities are going to present themselves. And yes, it will require me to stay open to all of my inspired ideas and to act on those inspired ideas. And entering into co-creation with other people. But I can do that. I can keep myself open to all of that. It's true, I have no idea how it's all going to happen. I don't know every step right now, but I don't have to. I just need to keep myself as open as possible to earning that amount of money and curious about how it could unfold. Imagining what it would be like, what it would look like. Imagining, envisioning, opening. There's actually a million ways that this could happen. I honor what is possible by opening myself up to taking inspired actions on my inspired ideas. I am open to feeling enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the energy needed to make things happen. Enthusiasm is something I've got lots of. I'm open to everything I want. Happening the easy way. Yes! I have no problem with it being a journey that is for my growth and a journey that unfolds beautifully. Why not? I love looking at my income goal now. I love understanding everything that it represents. I am open to earning exactly this much money. I no longer believe it is impossible. I believe it is entirely possible. Entirely. And take a breath. And just feeling and noticing everything that came up, that is up now in your body. And look at that income goal again and say, it's impossible. And notice how true now, 0 to 10. And that is tapping. I know we've only got a few minutes left, so let us unmute and share what we want to share.
Zippo.
Wow.
Zippo. Do you hear that, Jeannie? Zippo.
We went to Zippo. Jeanne Bean.
And so much enthusiasm. So much.
Nice.
That was awesome, Janie Demers. Very
Yeah.
good.
It really was.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to all of you for really doing this work, because it's not easy to go to these places and to give yourself so fully to the exercise.
It makes it almost so apparent how ridiculous the limitations are when you do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't know
truly.
how else to say it.
Yeah.
It's so powerful to have the questions first
Hmm.
rather than just the tapping, so that the questions, like exploring those questions and then tapping with those in mind, I think makes
You mean
it,
like the test phrases
the
and
test phrases. Yeah, I think
Yep,
makes a huge,
yep.
I mean, the tapping makes my body feel lighter. And then when I look at the words, because I feel lighter, the words don't have the same impact on me. But the
Right.
words, we have to have the words come out, right? So that we understand what's making us sad or scared or blocked or.
Yeah, exactly. And connect with that subconscious stuff. It's like that's hard to connect to with our conscious mind sometimes. It's like,
Yep.
oh, I don't really think that. I don't really believe that. It's like, oh yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So anybody else, please.
Look at that last comment, Jeannie. Do you see it?
Hearing you in my own words. Oh. Oh, I hear what you mean. Not Zippo, but like when I was, the script sounded like what you were thinking. Great.
That's so
Ashley?
powerful.
Oh, you're muted.
I'd never done tapping from the negative to the positive. And the experience was really interesting because the physical sensation afterwards was completely different. Like that, you know how digital signs will run kind of like that, boop, 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 boop. It felt like my body sending all of that energy after the negative down into the earth. And then, but ending after the positive, it was like this upward movement, the energy coming straight in. So it was just a really distinct physical difference between the two that I didn't
Wow,
expect.
very cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Thank you.
Welcome.
I feel physically and emotionally stirred up, and I feel like that I'm still waiting for the pieces to settle. Like I don't really know how I feel. I mean, I feel fine, but I don't really know where it's all gonna land yet. I definitely uncovered something I think I need to go back to more.
Yeah. And actually, thank you for saying that, because really important is to notice because it'll continue to work on you. So for the rest of the day, to really be mindful of what am I feeling? What am I thinking? And to rest. It's no small thing to uncover and clear blocks. So you may feel, people get exhausted from doing the work. I've had to like lay down for hours after doing some clearing work. So be prepared for that, and drink water. I'm not the best water drinker, and it makes a big difference with tapping because we're an electrical system, and the water really helps the tapping to do its thing.
It's so powerful.
Wow. Well, we're at the hour, and I want to respect everybody's time, but I thank you so much for going so fully into this exercise with me.
Thank
you,
you
Ms.
so
Jeannie.
much.
Oh yeah, and if you would like to, I forgot to mention, Lisa's going to drop my calendar link in the chat. So feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to talk about the work at all in any way, shape, or form. Not a salesy kind of a thing, just like talk about it.
Yep. I'm going to put both
there it is.
I'm going to put both your website and that. And so,
great. The second one is the calendar link.
So 2 days of talking about what stops you. And clearly it's not just about working harder or being better at what you do. It's so much deeper. And then tomorrow we're going to finish up. I'll be talking about how do you want to be seen, and then Judy Fine talking about confidence. And I don't know anyone who doesn't struggle with that on some level. So tomorrow, same time. Of course, you are all welcome, and we're so grateful that you would come And if you know anyone who you think could benefit from these kinds of discussions, please invite them. And bear in mind that we recognize that these are such small windows to be covering such huge topics and feelings. And so we have plans to carry them on later on, and we want everyone that is interested to be a part of that. So thank you so much, each of you, for being here.